Baby, I heard you wanted bottom surgery. Thought I'd weigh my 2 cents in as an exchange. Growing up, I definitely wasn't one of those girls that stood in front of the mirror with a pair of scissors wanting to chop their bits off. But I was definitely one of those kids that had a lot of discomfort towards having a penis as far back as I can remember. And by the time I hit puberty, I hated any attention towards it. I remember pretending that it didn't exist. I did not look at it while bathing. And I, at the time, did not know I was trans or did not understand what dysphoria was. Then I accepted my truth of being trans during my mid-teens, and my relationship with my body and my body parts was inextricably linked to my identity. And hence, I could not tell what part of me wanted this surgery to feel complete and one with my body, and what part of me wanted this surgery to be validated by this world. Once I started transitioning, I had subconsciously internalized the idea that I wasn't a complete woman until I get a vagina. After all, what are women other than being both sex dolls, baby-making machines, and just vessels for men to use and abuse, right?
Oh, that's not.
I wanted to be desired like the women around me by men. I didn't know yet that womanhood, as most of us know, and as I knew back then, was deeply linked to the idea being validated by men and hence to patriarchy. That everything that I considered to be feminine was to be validated by men. Be petite, have a small waist, big chest, deadly curves, leaving no room for my internal organs to exist. To have softer tones, softer voice, to not be loud, to just dissipate and disappear in the arms of a masculine lover. Now, one thing that I didn't realize was that the image or the idea of womanhood that I was chasing was one that a lot of cis women themselves do not fit. There are women with voices deeper than mine, with shoulders broader than mine, with chests flatter than mine, with hips narrower than mine. Yet I thought the only way I could be a woman was to subject every single part of me to surgical trauma to then fit the idea of what the world viewed as a woman. Women that raised me were very independent women, but the way I viewed femininity was to only subscribe to the hyper-feminine version of womanhood because that was the only way I would leave no doubt in anybody's mind. And therefore, I was told that the final act of my womanhood would be to be able to please a man. And for that, I needed a pussy, unraveling the womanhood away from my own body. My new vagina is aesthetically top tier and functions very well. By the end of the 18th year, I was on the wait list with CAMH to get my bottom surgery. And in those 3-4 years is when I slowly started unraveling what parts of my womanhood I could validate internally from my own understanding of how I experience this world and live my life versus what needs to be validated by the external world. And you would think getting bottom surgery is mostly an internal battle, that you do it because you feel it's going to be validated by the internal self. Gag. It's actually both. Half of it is validated by your internal self, and the other half is validated by the world. In those years, I had also realized that all the men that were interested in me wanted me with my dick, and emotionally manipulated me for years to not get the bottom surgery. I also knew that if I don't get the surgery, I wouldn't be using my appendage for anything, and my disgust with my own body was increasing day by day. Then I got my bottom surgery at the beginning of the pandemic. It took me more than a year to fully heal and to have my first orgasm. And this year was a whole year of recovering from surgical trauma, because no matter how much you prep yourself, your body still keeps a score of what it's gone through. Pain and dilation post-surgery end up becoming the focus of every aftercare guide, but those weren't the least of my concern. The mental and the neurological torture, with the nerves being so tender, was something that was much more challenging than anything else. Now, I did not have a dick. My life had changed for the better in a lot of ways. I was able to wear what I wanted. I was able to not worry about how my body was aging with testosterone. Finally felt a little closer to my internal sense of womanhood. It also took my mind off of something that would always be looming over my head, which was my discomfort with that body part, although it gave me some new things to worry about. It clicked at that point that all the other aesthetic procedures that I had done before this were a lot more affirming to my own gender than having a kitty. I felt closer to myself mentally, partly because I had been freed from having to worry about having a penis. But I felt farther away from myself physically because now I had an organ that I didn't really understand. And because I had bought it, it had its own maintenance. I really don't know what I was hoping for. I had hope that if a man would sleep with me and treat me tenderly, that I would really feel like more of a woman. Most men center their own pleasure. It just left me feeling further away from myself and from my womanhood. And no man had the patience for me, and even I didn't have the patience with my own body. Instead of solving my relationship with intimacy, it made it even more complicated. Previously, I could use and abuse my body because I didn't like it. Now, I was forced to respect it. No post on r/trans or an in-depth presentation at my surgeon's office could have prepped me for any of this. Stay tuned for the next part, healing. Unfortunately, you do not heal in a vacuum. While I still worked on my relationship with my body, my surgeon helped me with figuring out my depression, and it wasn't until I met Marco 5 years after my bottom surgery that I finally started fixing my relationship with sex. Before bottom surgery, my surgeon had asked me to rate 3 things in the order of importance: aesthetics, functionality, and depth. And I had rated all 3 of them high, but aesthetics, because I'm a vain bitch, as the highest thing. And I'm happy to report that all those things have been great. However, just like everything else in life that you buy, even a body part requires maintenance. While I had favorable results, it did not magically make me feel like a woman. To be desired, I don't have to subject myself to submission and sex. I can just walk down the street looking cunt and let the trades have it, y'all. It's no shame. Therefore, it took lots of patience and finally a man that understood my pain and journey to really heal and start becoming one with myself again. Ultimately, feeling like a woman did not come from chasing men endlessly in the pursuit of pleasure and validation. It did, however, come from being so sure of myself internally as a woman that nothing in this world can shake it. I also want to say, it's not the right type of love that will make you feel more of a woman. It just so happened to be my love in my life that healed my journey with intimacy and taught me how to be patient. It really is true that only you can make yourself feel more like a woman. No amount of surgeries, no amount of validation from the world, no amount of men, women, your parents, your family, your friends validating you will make you feel like a woman. Things that validate my womanhood today is the tenacity I have for this life. The woman that raised me, my connection with them, and the connection that I have with my culture, how I choose to live this life completely unabashedly, how I choose to express my body, my sexuality, my everything without having to fear as if somebody else is going to validate it or not. The thick skin that years and years of tough moments have given me, and a deep sense of empathy and care that have developed for people like me and everybody that isn't like me around me. I think those are the things that really, really make my womanhood unshakable and make me the woman that I am today. But I got a designer pussy, girl. Should you get bottom surgery? While it took me getting the surgery to realize that I do not need bottom surgery to be a woman, it definitely doesn't have to be the case for you. I can't tell you if you need a vagina or not to feel like a woman, but I hope I can prep you for the hurdles that might come if you choose to put your body through such a thing. One thing is for sure that no amount of surgical trauma with a lack of internal self-work can emancipate you from the shackles of gender dysphoria. Or else it's a never-ending cycle of chasing the next surgery while having no foresight into what is gender dysphoria and what's just vanity, or the hope and desire that if you break yourself just a little bit more, that the world will accept you for who you are. Everything that I've gone through, willingly or otherwise, has laid the bricks to the castle of this unshakable womanhood. Yet, today, I have the discernment to know that some of those things I could have done without. Bottom surgery is that gray zone that I'm very happy with, and I know I couldn't have lived without having it, but I do not still know if it was 100% necessary. Would I do it all over again? Perhaps, but with a lot of different prep and a lot of support and not alone. Also, maybe it's a little hypocritical or easier for me to say now, 7 years after, to tell you that you shouldn't get one. It took care of a symptom in the short term, so I could really focus on getting rid of the root cause of dysphoria long term, which was just my overall outlook to life and how I chose to experience womanhood in this world. The degree that it affirmed my womanhood was much smaller in the grand scheme of things. If you are going to get bottom surgery, do it knowing you'll have to start a new marathon of self-discovery, self-love, and self-actualization. That's the thing about surgeries, right? It fixes that one thing that you have, but it gives you three new things to worry about. But in case you have the results that you're not very happy with, then you do not get to blame the world or other people like you that told you to get the surgery. You don't. You do not get to get the surgery and pull the ladder behind you and say that others cannot get that surgery. You do not get to shame others for making the decisions that you have made. Or if you choose to not get the surgery, you also do not get to shame others for making the decisions that they have made. You must have empathy for yourself and for others so that they can also be free. Blaming this world and others for choosing to live the life that you've chosen to live with should have ended the moment you decided to succumb to the idea of womanhood that this world inflicts on you. The day you started taking that morns and putting that wig on and subscribe to hyperfemininity with the hair, the nails, the boobs, the titties, the ass, missing that was the day that your privilege to blame the world for anything ended because you chose to submit to the same idea of womanhood that is not realistic for any woman. Stay blessed. I love y'all.